If the plan is correct, then this will be my final trip to Port Olisar. And tomorrow, if everything goes well, PO will be no more with 3.20 rolled out on live. But that's a plan and rumors and such, and we'll see if that's the case. I thought it was pretty fitting to break out the Phoenix Emerald for this type of trip and see what's up with it. I will admit, in this patch, embarrassingly on live at least, I don't have my piano set up. So, maybe I can fix that when I dock up. But right now, I'm just kind of hanging out, on my way over to Crusader. Port Olisar to me was like this amazing place where the game started, but I really didn't know anything else. It was the place you spawned in, and then slowly but surely I realized it was a problematic location because everyone else spawned there too. And what you have to remember about PO is it had pads, just pads. And up until recently, many stations were the same way, especially for smaller ships. They put you out on pads, you landed and took off from pads instead of hangars. Hangars do not allow pad ramming as easily, at least. People have to get you when you're on your way in, and that's extremely hard to do compared to a pad where you're basically a sitting duck all the way from when you spawn all the way out until when you physically leave. And same deal when you land. No matter how much of an armistice zone they set up and whatever, there was not enough incentives for people not to just throw ships away, especially when they don't care, and attempt to destroy a ship, say, fully laden with cargo or with something else. So right now I just landed at Seder. I'm waiting for my cooldowns to go. Phoenix is such a wonderful, wonderful ship on a really neat platform. I mean, in general, the Connies are all nice, but in general, I don't know. The Phoenix is really something special. In real life, I value utility greatly, and, you know, appreciate that type of stuff. But when it comes to the game, for some reason in StarCitizen, I really value just a hint of luxury. Really, I welcome. Let's see what we got here. I thought I had Port Olisar properly marked, but apparently I did not set it as my final destination. There it is. Now, they are just replacing PO, so there will still be a station here if you decide to warp in the next patch. Probably by the time you see this rendered out and you're watching it, PO will probably be gone once again if everything goes to plan. Right now I'm bouncing off of OM5 in order to get around this massive gas giant that is Seder to get there. Notice the short cooldown because I'm just doing a hopper. I had an interesting discussion about 2 days ago with somebody who pointed out that they were newer to the game. I mean, really, really new. And they were watching a lot of content, and they had a lot of questions like, why did this, or how did this happen, or something. So I'm going to try to just add a couple hints here and there, and then test it out. I do watch my own content and try to, like, which is, I think it's very true that you're your own harshest critic, and I certainly am. And probably my ears will be burning doubly when I go to edit this video together. But anyway, I'm gonna try to start implementing small amounts of hints of why I do things or what my emotions are, and I think also that would be an interesting for more mid-level players too. I think it would be something that would be interesting to kind of see where my mindset is. because that's another thing. I do run into players, and they have different things and reasons they do things that may not necessarily be out of the meta or something. It may be more based on tradition or based on a different way of playing the game, a different kind of strategy. So once again, I'm in the Armistice Zone. The Armistice Zones have changed over time, but PO in general has these large turrets, and they're what's defending it. And me jumping off of here does look beautiful. But the does not show the turrets on my HUD, because I pulled my HUD away when I did that cinematic view. But yeah, I'm still going to do it. Probably this would look cleaner. Sorry for the jumpiness. I should probably slow down a little bit now that I'm inside the Armistice and clean. Not having to worry about other players too much. Within reason. So I am sitting on live server right now, and I don't want to ruin the look, but for a moment, let's get the FPS counter up, just in case you're wondering. 7800X3D, how it's performing on PO as its final time in existence on this server. You can see a nice adorned, what is that, a 600i over there on the left side on one of the larger pads. And the way PO is structured, there is an A, B, C, and D. And so you have 2 on the left side of me and 2 on the right side of me. Now, if your friend spawns on the same server, what ends up happening is you might luck out and you may actually be on at least the same pylon, as we call them. I don't know the official term, but if you look there, you can see a giant A. It's like a very sciencey A, strut B is towards the back. You can see that big B on top of the central structure. Hang on. Just so you can see what I'm looking at. You can see that B strut right there. And then you'll see these numbers. So each one of these is small, medium, large pads. Now, these small, medium, large pads were, as far as I know, and correct me in comments if I'm wrong, but they were like the original sizes of the hanger module pads. So the hanger module had like these mounting points that were small, medium, and large. And you had to have certain size hangers, like the asteroid hanger for the largest pads and such, in theory anyway. But the deal is that when PO came out, they were able to accommodate some of the largest ships in the game. Now, you still couldn't spawn the Reclaimer here, but you could certainly land the dang thing here for the longest time. And you would have to go planet side for that. So one of my buddies, who is a huge Reclaimer fan, and he, to be fair, he has a very good point about being it's a good capital ship trainer because of its sheer mass. Its VTOL characteristics are kind of brick-like, and if you can land that thing in some rough circumstances, you can probably land a small cap ship like a Polaris or something very easily in the same circumstances. At least based on what we know now and how the ship is shaping up. Obviously, we don't have both to put next to each other. That would be a really fun video of like trying to land a Reclaimer and a Polaris and handling characteristics, docking characteristics. The industrial brick versus the sleek capital ship. Quasi, you know, who has the advantage there? The high-speed cap versus the industrial brick. Anyway, you can see also that there's a C and a D strut to my right. So you could have situations where somebody is spawned at C, and then one of your friends spawns at A, and in order to get back and forth, some of the first EVAs I've ever had, I've done here. And it's very weird.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
You can hear how it's just the standard one. But what we can do is take around, shift over, put those landing gears down, drop my speed even more.
Landing gear deployed.
Yes. Well, at least I didn't embarrass myself on my final stop into to PO.
Take off completed.
Now, once again, I'm in a hangarless environment, so people can be hop, skipping, and jumping all over the place in this place. And you can see the weird gravity effects. It looks like I bounced off of the pad. It's just fine. The server is going to end in a day, so I really don't care if I have to claim that ship. I don't have any special equipment on it anyway. But I will try to EVA back to it in a bit. We'll see. Another downside of being in a hangarless environment, the airlocks. So you have the airlock to the outside. I'll admit that more than once I died forgetting to wear my helmet. There are small stores here, and this was one of the first NPCs you could interact with. So you could sell stuff. And you could do deliveries here. But here's the ore right here. Now, for refining. But if I remember correctly, I don't remember delivering much at all to this location. So you would come up just like any other place and hit drop off. These came later, though. My memory serves me right, possibly. Because I don't have a contract here, it won't let me do anything. But yeah, it shows you can actually do it. And you have to pick the correct strut. You have to land on the correct strut and go in. If my memory serves me right, those came later. They didn't function at first. Let me try and stow the ship, at least do it legitly. We're in here.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
Now, my information is a bit dated, I'll admit. Oh, cool. Stored in a dying station. Well, a retrofitted station. There's going to be a new version of PO that's going to be full of hangars and more elevators instead of ramps and such. More on that in a moment. Let me show you how, when you came out of your spawn location, you came down these stairwells. And you can actually jump through there. I'm going to show you in a minute. But when you spawned on PO, if you don't remember or you weren't around for that time period, you would come out of one of these random rooms. Is it going to actually let me open one? No? Okay, cool. And there's your Big Benny's machine. But you go downstairs. And you would come down these steps. But let's be honest. I'm going to scroll wheel up for a second. This is really how you came down these steps.
Welcome to the
That's what
ASOP
you really
Vehicle
did.
Retrieval System.
you went up and down that puppy like it was crazy, and you didn't waste no time. So anybody who has fond memories of the staircases forgets exactly how it works. It wasn't exactly an elegant procedure. You spawned in these rooms, and the other way to get through. Let me see if the window works. You'd come down here. And invariably, about like, well, no, not invariably, but about 30% of the time, there'd be somebody AFK staring at you awkwardly around while you got your ship. But nevertheless, this is a true gem of StarCitizen history, and I can't imagine a more amazing place. Now, if you go inside these stores here, these were some of the first stores that we had access to. Because of the way PO was like a universal location, it has multiple different stores squeezed into different places. You can see that there's a pretty unique circumstance where you have a whole clothes store don't forget the kiosks make those places a lot bigger. And you have your equipment for your ship right next to each other. And then over here, you have your armor. And then over here, you have your gun store. So you had a pretty good selection. Let me slow down a little bit, actually, because just in case for posterity. I regret deeply not having a video, at least one video back in the day of the proper hangars, especially the Revel in York hangar. I have extremely fond memories of that time period. So I'm grateful that I got a heads up on this, and this wasn't some secret heads up. It was just literally on multiple Discords, people chatting about it. And this, from what I understand, CIG heavily dropping hints that this was coming. But I am grateful, nevertheless, that that I had a chance to come here. I'm gonna kill the FPS counter for now. Once again, it's starting to sink in that it's kind of like an old friend going away. It's been a lot of years with this place. And I can tell you it's not that much to write home about. I get it. But, I mean, this was our place. This is what StarCitizen was all about. This was the first place that proved that players could work together. And it was also, people forget that first of all, shader did not look that nice. But people forget that even just being able to spawn on a space station, spawn a ship, and fly around was a immense step forward. Because a lot of people, I'll be honest with you, were spawning, when we finally got, later on, when we finally got Lorville, the first planetary landing location, a lot of people would spawn into Lorville, and then they would just wander around and then log off outside of Lorville. I think the station made things less of a friction point for casual gaming. People growing up on the station, so to speak, I think helped the game quite a lot. I'm going to hit each one of the stores for a second here while I'm talking. Notice the second door to exit, enter, exit. That's not just a thing on Maria Pure of Heart and some of the other health locations that have multiple entrances and exits in the verse now. This was something a long time ago. But audio is not working, but the NPC does react to you clicking. But right here, I had a memory. This is kind of a funny memory. One of the first IAEs that had playable audio. I don't know why, but they played the original Jax McCleary Whitley's Guide, Galactic Gear job sounds. And I couldn't even see it inside this holotube. But I went AFK just sitting on this chair. And I don't know why, I don't understand how that made any sense, but it played audio through that thing. I knew I have a headset that lets you know which direction things are. And like most people do now. And I just felt like, wow, this is real. Like, I felt like I was waiting for my friends to finally log the heck in, waiting to go over to the big event. And because, of course, they were over on PO and logged off, and this was playing the audio. And that silly little, like, trailers that were looped of Jax talking was a pretty cool experience for me. And it, like, once again reinforced to me, while I'm looking at this guy just standing on a potted plant like it's nothing, that this is real. And I felt like it was something that was like special. I actually like this tiny Kasaba. I hope that the BMM, I hope that, like, they have tiny versions of this, like maybe a half of this could be like one of the larger outlets inside the multi-tier mall on the inside, or You know, maybe a cargo container looking thing that like packs into the the Kraken privateer would be nice too. Some pretty neat shoes. Look like bowling shoes. Look fun. Notice the prices are extremely low, like you'd expect. So yeah, here's all the shoes, legitly. So yeah, this is some of the really cool stores. Also notice the water services and drinks and stuff that you can buy right here. Like there, you can just quick buy them right off the counter. And that's kind of the goal here is simplify things. Simplify, simplify, simplify. One of my last things I'm gonna do on PO is throw a drink on the floor, but I can't. It wouldn't let me store it for some reason. Even though I'm wearing gear that has plenty of space in a backpack. But yeah. Oops.
Welcome
Oh,
to the ASOP
before I go
Vehicle
spawning any ship, what shred are you on? Is what we'd yell to each other. What pad? And you'd unfortunately with dread look at this strut letter, and you'd realize your friends, because you didn't hear the dinging noises of them stomping down the metal staircases. You'd realize, oh, they're on a different strut. So you'd go out to the airlock. Cycle that. It's a little different, by the way, on this. I'm not a streamer, so to speak. I just make content for videos and such, but I kind of make anything that like really speaks to me and stuff I think you all would appreciate. So I hope you do appreciate this. If you did, give me a like. If you liked it, but I went too far or I kept talking about something a little bit too much, drop me a comment or drop me a DM in Discord. I wouldn't mind making this kind of content again if you like hearing about the history of StarCitizen and where we're going. It's just, some advice would be good on that front, because this isn't obviously something I do every day. So, something fun about EVAing in general is that if you go up to the edge and you're too high up, you will drop and take significant health damage. And you learn really quick where your med pen is. For those who haven't EVA'd, you can see the information tooltips on the right side there, WASD, that's all I'm doing. And one of the things it doesn't tell you is scroll wheel is really critical. So that adjusts your speed, and also you have only a finite amount of fuel. So, unless they change that yet again. So the faster you go, the more fuel you consume. Also, the harder it is to stop, obviously. These are the turrets that were actually supposed to protect you from different types of attacks, but pad rammers would ram you all in one hit without having a crime stat ahead of time, especially in the early days where we didn't have Kelcher. And the other thing that was funny about these was they were better at clearing off pad blockages more than enemy pad rammers. So these things, I'm sure, are wonderful. But really, what I remember them is frantically like figuring out where is that incoming fire coming from. Oh my goodness. And then realize it's not shooting at me. Okay, whatever. And it was just going to say if that eclipse stays there for like a half hour or something. Well, way less than that. But anyway, if it stays there way too long, suddenly those turrets just start blamming it. And they will eventually win. Eventually. Against the poor ship just sitting there. That was the way they would clear that type of stuff. There we go. So, strut A. If your buddies were on strut B, this is the long trek you would do. And just to prove I'm not all hogwashing here, I'm going to go inside. You can see somebody did not make the trek safely. Don't know where their suit went, but okay. And reminder, if you ever find yourself in this circumstance, get low, stay low once you're over there, right before you get there. Start scroll wheeling back as I get closer and closer. Frantically spam S. There we go. You want your momentum near 0, and like you're kind of like awkwardly chewing away, getting closer and closer. And you'll see, you can also cheat a little bit by changing the camera angle, and I can see where my feet are. See? Yeah, I may still awkwardly fall over, but it made me look really pro. No, I did it. Here we go. So anyway, if you don't know the exact angles, that's a method to handle it. So you could wander right over to other pads, whether you had a ship assigned there or not, whether you were assigned to spawn there or not, and now you're on the other strut. Now you could do the same thing with struts C and D, and you remember you had to. So if anybody feeds you some type of story about each one of the struts had significant differences, I'm going to dispel that myth right now for you. Throw on my video. I appreciate the share. So you can see that the other struts were virtually identical. There are slight differences on the outside based on, remember what I talked about, the A and the B are connected and they're kind of like in a north-south relationship, and the C and D are the same way, where they're in this like a north-south relationship, and then you have to EVA between them in a different way because of the way the structure is, and it's kind of a little bit more interesting. Once again, same place. Notice my bottle's not on the ground because we're not on strut A anymore, even though this place looks, yeah, there's like the same art on the wall, everything. Yeah, I'll even exit through the same landing pad. I exited through landing pad 9 to exit through A. I'm gonna exit through B. Landing pad 9 on B. I really hope this audio is recording properly. I'm gonna do a switch over here. Alright, I'm taking it on faith that it is working, the audio is functioning, and we'll see if my trust in the system here will keep up. So, you can see somebody dropped a very nice little Corsair here. Look at that massive, massive maul of a turret and a gunning seat. It's really what most of the action is on this ship. Anyway, notice I'm just wandering up to somebody's random ship. It is extremely easy for me to do so. Coming out of the airlocks, you can even follow somebody from the spawn much easier because you don't, let's say you just spawned your ship. You know where the hangar is. They may not. Whether they saw the screen or not, it depends. But let's say they don't know. You can just stand in the elevator and not take the elevator ride to your location. Just wait for them to leave. Whereas here, they can follow you the whole way. There's no blockage. I can hide waiting for this guy to get off his ship and then jump on it. So stowaways are a big problem at PO. People can and do hang out in the middle between a couple struts, waiting to see a ship roll in. Everyone in the whole station can see. I'm not gonna ignore that. So many people outside with no gear on. Anyway. That was a silly, silly risk right there I took. Hopefully I don't pay for it. So truthfully, I know what most of those folks are. This is something I normally wouldn't talk about in one of my videos, but we're a bunch of scavengers in this game. Now, oh, by the way, notice I'm not EVAing. I'm trying my best to determine where C and D are before I spawn, before I go over there. The reason for that is so I don't waste my valuable EVA fuel, and like you've seen, it's kind of there's always a risk with EVAing. One interesting thing, aside from all these people reenacting the Expanse image, is the game. Sorry, the movie show. Is you will see NPCs kind of wandering through here. It's blown up wreckage of a Lancer or a Hull series, a Hull A or B. Anyway, One of the things you will see is NPCs kind of moving through here. I am very... There's a missile just lying on the ground. I'm very curious if that's going to hold up. Because plain and simple, they take up space. Once you switch over to a hangar mechanism, I don't think that there's going to be as many hangars as there are pads on PO. I could eat my words, I could, but this is a pretty big place. You got 10 pads on each one of these, and that gives you 40 pads altogether. Kind of gave up on my whole little efficiency thing. Notice it's very easy to get turned around on here. And once you're outside, you have to look at the top. I can see I'm on strut B, so strut A is to my right here. And now I'm going to take the long ride over to CD. Now, you could spawn a ship from your perspective strut, whichever one of the ASOP terminals you end up near. And by the way, you can start on one strut and then spawn on another. Spawn a ship on another. You absolutely can. It's random, basically, and it doesn't really matter where you want. It will spawn wherever you choose to, whichever strut you choose to spawn on. But when you're going across, you do need to be mindful of these things. I could have sworn these were faster back in the day. I may be wrong. I probably am. But at least my old memory thinks these things were faster. And they are an actual obstruction. Like, they are an actual risk when you're transiting. It's just an interesting little dynamic that you got to cross one of the rings to get over between the struts. Notice I safely navigated the strut. This is pretty cool. So, yeah. Sometimes this game can even make a talker like me stop talking for a second. What a beautiful game. Anyway, we're over at the next strut. I don't even know which one I'm on. There it is, C, on the wall there. Another smooth landing. They might have improved the EVA landings a little bit, because I seem to remember a lot of tumbles and falls and taking some injuries and such on some of these. But you can see we're in the C struts now, and I'm not going to go through D. I'm not going to go through all four. I may live to regret that, you know, in a year or two or whenever, because PO is going to be a while. So one of the things CIG said is that they will take steps to remember PO, and kind of gave a vague suggestion that it'll be back in somehow, but they don't know how yet. And I'm not genuinely sure how they're gonna do it, because I think honestly it needs to be in the game. I hope it's not like an Arena Commander map or a Star Marine map or something, and it just happens to be shoved in there. You know, and then it's gamified for that mode and such. I want the thing in its entirety. It's okay if it's not full of NPCs, but I really want it in its entirety preserved, lit up, and, you know, everything just looking broken like this or looking lit like this, exactly the way it was. So every scratch, every dent, I want it to be this way so I can bring back org mates and friends and future players that are interested in, and be like, look, this is what we had when we first started this game. And at the end of the day, if CIG can even offer a bit of that, I think we've nailed it. You know, I look at that screen, and that wasn't like that at the beginning. I think of how far we've gone, and yeah, I think we're due a newer, modernized PO. I do agree. I do agree with a lot of people's position on Port Olisar, is that we've outgrown it. I just don't want to lose it. And that may be selfish of me, and, you know, of many older players in the community. We all have a say, regardless of how long you've been here. I've said that many times. Regardless of how much you spent, no matter how much time you've been in the game, no matter how much you know, we're all backers. We all have a say. We all have a place here in the verse. And I think it's more important to older backers because of our rose tinted glasses, because of our fond memories at PO. And I think that's okay too. I think it's perfectly okay for us to kind of just think back, remember PO for what it was, not what it is, and, you know, be able to just kind of relax for a minute. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a milestone. And it's kind of a shock to me that it's hitting me like this, especially with how little I've been. I'll be honest with you, how little I've been excited for 3.20. I have not been very excited for this patch cycle um, in general, especially because of the push for Arena Commander, Star Marine, Arena Commander, Star Marine, Theaters of War possibly, or whatever they're renaming that, and all these different game modes and Tonk Madness or some other things that rumors are to be believed. I don't care about any of them. And that's coming from a hardcore Battlefield player. I grew up with Battlefield. Battlefield 1942 beta I started with. Battlefield 1942 I played endlessly. Multiple clans. All the way back. Battlefield 2, Battlefield Vietnam, Battlefield 2142, the 4, the Mega 4. Those were my bread and butter of my shooters. And you know what? I just don't care. Theaters of War could be released tomorrow, and granted, I'll play it. If my org mates, friends, anybody wants to play it with me, groups want to go, I'll take the peer pressure. I'll totally go play. But in StarCitizen, maybe it's because I've matured a bit since then. Maybe it's because I feel drawn in different directions, but I want to explore more. I want to experience a more methodical pace and a more strong building of an organization. I want to focus more on my persistent universe and building up community, building up tools, building up my friends. I value my friends list far more than I value a new game mode, that even if it's incredibly fun. Now, granted, if I can get my friends list to be filled up and those people will move over, now you see where I'm going with this, to the PU, and those great folks I've been playing all those matches with in Arena Commander and such, and dogfighting like crazy, and oh, they're amazing at it, and then I can meet them and play in the PU with them, I welcome it. But I'm just extremely nervous, especially with the limited resources that the PU teams have, how small of a teams they have. And I mean, shout out to the amazing hard work of the teams all the way up in Montreal, all the way down and just outside of Austin, Texas, and all the way over in Cali. You folks are truly doing what I love and why I stay. And well, half of why I stay, really, to be honest. Like I said, my friends list, the people I've met, the people I've spent time with over the past decade, are incredibly important to me as well. But if you ever watch my videos, keep fighting the good fight. There is a lot of us who greatly appreciate your work. And I hope this video doesn't come off as like, wow, I just want my PO. I do value that the new station's necessary. I do recognize it. It's going to be supporting a massive planetary landing location. And, you know, I look at that image up on the wall there, and I see Orison, this gleaming sky city with its future storm wall sanctuary and such that we'll soon have. And I look at the amazing, as it says, city in the clouds. And yeah, PO is kind of a letdown for actual services and actual security and protection of people trying to operate on and off of Orison. I've already mentioned before that the fact that Javelin-class destroyers can, even if it costs an immense amount of fuel, can land at Orison. It is the only planetary landing location in Stanton at this moment that we can set up with destroyers. And in theory, dare I say it, this is me speculating now, hull Ds and Es, which also have major concerns with trying to go into landing areas. As a reminder, because Orison is in high altitude, it has the benefits of being in high altitude where you don't have to try to land. It's on a gas giant, you can't anyway. But the density of the air is incredibly small. So what ends up happening is you can take ships that are larger, specifically javelins, so far we've proven, but other ships may have the benefits as well. And Orison is going to become this immense staging location for larger organizations and for orgs that are maybe smaller, but they're cap heavy. Being able to accommodate most types, if not all types of ships, is incredibly valuable for a planetary landing location. And the station that's right above it is going to be important for staging and logistics capabilities as well. So you have to think of like every landing location, its station above it is like an extension of that location. And PO has been outdated for a very long time. Its services are just not here. It needs the new cargo docks. It needs the bounty systems. It needs proper health. It was great for its time, and now it's time for something more. I do want to note that I hope they capture the essence of PO and its replacement on Seraphim Station, with the concept of being as short as possible to getting to a ship. What do I mean by this? Just one more time, if you skip through the video, any of the 4 struts, if you come out of your room, which to be fair could be a further up room, but let's just say that this was your room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And that's me tripping over the railing, for goodness sake, getting to the fleet manager.
To the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
Spawn whatever I want, and then go straight out to the landing pad. And this is why people really look at this and go, I miss this. When you hear them talking about PO, they don't miss, the tiny little Kasaba outlet. They miss this. Oh. I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that in. You almost got me one more time, P.O. You almost got me one more time. And to be fair, I would have respawned here. It would have been no big... And it's the night before I patched. But come on, that would have been funny as heck. Anyway, you run out here, and you've got to your ship. If it was on pad 9, some of the larger ships. So, that's kind of the point. Within a minute, you can spawn a ship, die trying to get to it, or get on it. And for the record, some of the pads were close enough where you could run out to it. I don't know if they've changed that since. Your mileage may vary. Especially on the smaller pads. To be fair, not all the pads are like that. So if you spawn something smaller and you come out, say pads, let's say 0 through 4. Notice the doors don't have exactly the best actuation, but to be fair, not that's a StarCitizen thing, not really a pick on PO thing. But if you look here, some of them are not so great. So this right here for pathfinding is really terrible, especially for new players. They come outside, they see a beacon that's above them, and they're like, well, do I go ahead? And they don't know. This is for like larger ships. If you do this, this is for like spawning hammerheads. That giant pad there. So, I'll run out to it just to show you. By the way, notice these that are designed to stop buggies from driving inside. They added those. Or, more accurately, they made them work right. I don't remember if they added them before or after, but people used to be able to squeeze buggies through this thing and do havoc in there. I don't even think that's I think that's perfectly okay to talk about the, thinking about it right now. I think it's perfectly okay to talk about exploits that don't exist anymore, because PO is going to be deleted tomorrow. But this is some of the examples of some of the distances you actually would be navigating to on a standard pad when you're on a smaller ship. So not everything's pad 9 or 00 where you can just easily get to it. See, pad 10 is really egregious. But yeah. I saw somebody dancing around EVAing here. I don't want to freak them out with their ramp open, so I'm going to head back in. But yeah, what a wild place. Once again, for the last time, probably for a long time, hopefully not permanently. Greetings from Port Olisar. Wish you all a wonderful time and fly safe.